Peace, peace, peace. Welcome to another episode of the Parry where we don't pull or duck no punches. And the Parry is fundamental to boxing. Oh man, I'm stumbling over my words. Peace. I'm Bomani UFG.
I am the pragmatic Che Black.
And we are back here at the Parry. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yo, Che Blicky, what's good with you, man?
You know, 2025. That's what's good. It's a great year in boxing. It's a great year for boxing. A lot going on. You know, you might as well just get right into it. Recently, well, looking forward to 2025. Pardon me. Now here I am getting tongue tied and whatnot. But here we going forward into 2025, and we got um the return of Devin Haney. We got the Haneys coming back. So we're gonna see more of Bill and Devin. And recently, recently, Ryan Garcia sat down with Ring Magazine in an interview and basically um, explained that he would, in fact, take a rematch with Haney, with Devin Haney. However, only if Devin Haney drops the lawsuit. So he said he'd do the rematch, but only if the Haneys dropped their lawsuit. As we remember, they was in that hardcore fight last year. Devin Haney pounced the hell out of got pounced, I should say, pardon me. Ryan Garcia pounced the hell out of Devin Haney. However, it was reported that he was juiced up and was cheating. So there's a lot of speculation of what could have, what should have happened, or how it could have or should have played out. So I think a rematch is mandatory. However, we know there's a lawsuit, and Ryan Garcia is saying that he's not fighting Haney as long as that lawsuit is in effect. What's your thoughts on that one right there?
Uh, where do I start? Well, I guess to be in all fairness, you know what I'm saying? As somebody who's on the other side of the case in the argument when it came to Devin Haney and his lawsuit against Ryan Garcia, my initial thought was like, yo, like that's really some sucker ish. You know what I'm saying? On some like, so you know what I mean? Like this my initial thoughts. In all fairness, like yo, that's some sucker ish right there. Yo, drop the lawsuit and I'll fight you. Like if it was me, I'm like, all right, cool. Like you suing me, and I'm not gotta like Devin should have initially got it back in blood. I'm gonna get it back in blood. We in court, but I'm gonna take you back in the ring, and I'm gonna show you that it wasn't even about, you know what I'm saying? No, whatever the hell he was on over there. I forgot the drug that they say he was on, but it wasn't even about the PEDs. I'm gonna beat your ass, and you may beat me in court, but I'm gonna beat your behind in the ring. You know what I mean? But I will say, in all fairness, yo, it's fair. It's fair. It's like, fam, you trying to take food out my pocket, but yet you want to fight me in a rematch, and like, you know what I mean? I get it. It's starting to become personal. It's starting to become personal between them two now. This is outside of the realm of boxing, more so like these dudes clearly got a serious beef. And as a fan, of course, you want to see them settle it in the ring, but one want to settle it in court, and one saying, well, let's deal with it in court instead of the ring because I ain't gonna fight you unless you drop that lawsuit. Maybe he's scared he about to lose some change out his pockets, man. I don't know, man, but I just want to see these dudes fight again, man. I don't even care about what's going on in that courtroom, man. I don't even care either way. I just feel like somebody need to take the initiative and make the fight happen and say, nah, I want this fight. Whether it's Devin, Ryan, somebody need to be speaking up saying, yo, outside of the court situation, man, I want this fight. We need to get it back in blood. One
Yeah.
way or the other. By hook or by crook, man. We need to make it happen. So I don't know, but I ain't mad at Ryan for taking that stance. I feel like I said at first I thought that was some corny. I thought that was a corny move. But at the end of the day, it's just right. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm not going to criticize Devin for doing the lawsuit, I'm not going to criticize Ryan Garcia for saying drop the lawsuit or I'm not fighting you. I gotta be fair.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, Garcia has stated him as well as De La Hoya, his promoter, that if the lawsuit isn't dropped, that they would go forward and fight Teofimo Lopez. That's what they're looking at next. Teofimo Lopez versus Ryan Garcia. And Teofimo Lopez, who Um, you know, he had to fight um with Ortiz. His last fight, I believe, was with Ortiz in which was a few months back. You know, he
Yeah, Jermaine Ortiz.
Jermaine Ortiz, you know, pretty much outpointed him. I thought, I didn't think he looked that good in that fight personally, but he still remains one of the top draws and one of the top names in the lightweight division. So um, a fight with him and Garcia would be a good draw. How do you see a fight like this playing out if this fight is the one that goes forward in 2025?
Um, I don't think it's a bigger fight. Obviously, out clearly it's not a bigger fight than Ryan Garcia Devin Haney rematch. I do think it's a big fight. I think anything involving Ryan Garcia at this point is a big fight. Tiafimo is looking for a big fight. He's looking to really stake his claim and get his name in the mix of these young fighters in his crop from his generation that's coming up. He's looking to get his name in the mix amongst the Tank Davises, Shakurs, and because he seems to be kind of trailing behind all of them, even Ryan Garcia, and he's accomplished more than Ryan Garcia in the sport. But if they was to fight, I'm definitely watching it. Um, Again, I did say based off some of the the racist comments that Ryan Garcia has made that I wouldn't support any pay-per-views from Ryan Garcia, right? However, if he's going to fight somebody like Teofimo Lopez or Tank Davis or somebody I believe is going to kick his ass, I'm watching. And I don't think Teofimo Lopez,
So
I don't think Ryan Garcia could deal with a focused Teofimo, man.
was
I'm being honest.
then my next question would have been, what was your prediction for the fight? But there we have it. You pretty much, I say the same thing, and I think that that's actually good for Haney. I think that if Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia have a fight, that actually works out good for Haney, because I would expect Teofimo Lopez to defeat Ryan Garcia, and that would kind of put Ryan Garcia, shuffle him pretty much further back in the deck, and wouldn't put the pressure on Haney to make that fight, as opposed to maybe look to make a fight with Lopez or get back in the mix with one of the top guys in the lightweight division, which would be Tank, or would be Shakur Stevenson. So, and it would also kind of put the pressure more on Garcia now to come back in a big fight and win again, and it will most likely be through someone like Haney for him.
Right.
So I
I
think that
think,
that would actually be something that would benefit Haney if that fight doesn't take place with Haney and Garcia.
look, I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm not really sold on. I like Ryan as a talent, right? That's it. Like again, politics aside, as a talent, I like Ryan Garcia, but I'm not sold on him. Even after what he did to Devin, which again, people act like he did beat Devin from pillar to post in the sense of he had him stumbling and bumbling, but it was a close fight on the scorecards because Devin won pretty much every round that didn't have a knockdown in it. I'm not really sold on Ryan Garcia against these guys, right? Especially without cheating. Like we saw what happened with Tank. I believe if we fight Teofimo Lopez, Shakur, Keyshawn Davis, let's say, like anybody in and around that division that's in that crop of fighters, I don't know how, I wouldn't pick Ryan Garcia to beat any of them guys. He do got that left hook. Could he drop Teofimo? Yeah, Teofimo's been dropped by probably lesser competition like George Kambosos, but I don't see Ryan Garcia being able to do anything with somebody like Teofimo Lopez. Because as much as I don't like him, I will say this would be like the clash of the races. You know what I'm saying? You got one
Right,
dude
right,
using the N word and another dude calling black people monkeys. This would be like the Klan versus the skinheads or something, man. In the in the ring, man. Um,
right, right.
but that aside, man, I think Teofimo is a hell of a fighter. I think he got a lot of. He just hasn't really, when he fights top competition, he elevates himself to the level of his competition. Particularly like when he fought Lomachenko. Like the kid can really scrap Could he beat the Tank Davises and everybody else in around the division? I'm not sure. I would like to see those fights, but I definitely think he beats Ryan Garcia. I don't see Ryan Garcia doing nothing with Teofimo, man.
Mm, mm.
I don't know who I want to lose more though, to be honest with
Definitely agree. Looking further up north in the well, not even the welterweight division anymore, but looking into the junior welterweight division, we have the return of Bud Crawford, who it's pretty much looking like 2025 may be his twilight year. This may be the last year. You know, we seen in 2024 he moved up to 154 pounds to take on Maginov. You know, won by unanimous decision. A lot of people felt like he struggled with Maginov more than he should have, and that the size difference was a factor. I do think that there was some adjusting to that division. However, you know, in that particular fight. However, I feel like he adjusted good in that fight. And you know, we did see a few months back him sparring with Andre Ward. And I'm gonna say, you know, if you're gonna be sparring with any bigger fighters, you know, you're right now to be able to spar with the possibly greatest 168-pound fighter that ever lived and seemingly hold your own. We only got the clips, but seemingly was able to hold your own. It was a 3-round sparring session. But to be able to do that and to have the ambition and the drive to go in the ring with Canelo Alvarez right now, who is the reigning champion at that division, you know, it's just it just makes for a great story. Now with Canelo recently was talking with Box Nation, and they asked him, you know, what he thought about this fight when he was talking with Box Nation, and he basically let it be known that it's on the table. It's a possibility, you know, it's something that could happen. We got to see. So it's a lot different from before where he was talking. The Sheikh, His Excellency, has said that this is one of the top 5 fights that he wants to put out this year. So that his wallet is open, and clearly Canelo's attention. He definitely seen the flash that wallet in front of Canelo, and now Canelo is singing a different tune. Whereas before, it was almost like no chance, no possibility. Now it's looking like we may see this fight come late fall, possibly as early as spring. You know, Cinco
you.
de
Listen,
Mayo, maybe.
if you ask me a few months ago how optimistic was I to see a Canelo versus Crawford fight, I would say not very optimistic. I really couldn't see this fight actually happening because just from, Crawford definitely wants to fight. He's been pushing for the fight respectfully. You know what I'm saying? Um, and Canelo kind of been scoffing at the idea of fighting Crawford because he's too small, and he even said things like, he's a great fighter, but that's easy work.
Yeah,
Uh, and also talking like, I won't get the credit and this, that, and the third. But he even went at the His Excellency Turkey Owl Sheikh. Then went at him talking about he ain't like the way he came at him. So I would have, you asked me a few months ago, I would have said, nah, this fight is not happening. But now, considering that, it seems like Canelo's in talks with them, like he's entertaining the idea now. He's not saying it don't. I'm gonna say I'm 50-50 if the fight is actually going to happen, but it seemed like he open up your wallet, man. Go ahead, dig for that oil. Get some more of that oil money, and come talk to me. And I think if the price is right, we could possibly see Canelo Crawford. If not the end of this year, maybe sometime next year. Considering after whatever potential fights they may have lined up before
does
then,
Crawford wait till 2026?
yes. If it, I think if it's actually on, if the contracts are out there signed, like this fight can happen, but it has to happen next year. If Canelo actually says, I'm going to fight you, but I need to fight, he fights on Cinco de Mayo, and he fights, I believe, what is it, Mexican Independence Week or
Yeah,
something
September,
like that,
May, yeah, September the
right?
first week. Yeah, he fights in
So
September. He
if
fights
if
in that.
if he says I'll fight you next year Cinco de Mayo to Terrence Crawford, let me just get let me deal with this person and this guy first. You know he like to cherry pick. If he maybe gets a 3 fight deal with Turkey, like Turkey says, look man, he tells Turkey, look, I'll fight Crawford, but I want to fight. Give me a 3 fight deal. Let me get some of this. Let me get some of this oil money first, and I'll fight Crawford at the end of the deal. Crawford will stick around. Crawford to deal with his business at 154. Maybe move up a division. This is just to kind of test the waters. Move up to 160, maybe test the waters. Slowly start to move up. I think that actually benefits him better. It benefits him more to slowly maybe make it a 3 fight deal with Canelo. Canelo fight 1, 2 fights before he gets to Crawford. That'll probably be his last swan song. Like, I'm out of here. I'm retiring after I got this few hundred million from the Sheikh. Crawford gets to slowly move up, go from 154. Let's go see what 160 feel like before we get to 168 to where we can fight Canelo at that 3rd fight. I don't see why he wouldn't do it, especially if they offered him, more money than he's ever made. I could absolutely see that happen.
I don't really see Crawford sticking around for a 3 fight plan. I just don't really see him looking at it, looking with his age. I don't think he'll stick around and say, you know what, I'm gonna stick around for this 3 fight plan. I don't that right there. I just don't see. I see him, you know, maybe the end of the year, possibly, maybe September, possibly November, which is always a big fight month. But I don't see him sticking around till 2026. Now you could be right. You could absolutely be right. But the idea of having to do 2 fights, I don't even think that the idea of needing to test the waters and have a tune up or anything like that, Bud is really just looking for big fights right now. Excuse me.
I I think Bud can fight anybody and get a check, and probably and more than likely he wins at 154. I just feel like in order for it to be all right, because going into it, if he just moves up from 154 to 168, more people are gonna probably bet on Canelo. Say like Canelo is just too big for him,
Mhm.
right? But I think it serves Terrence Crawford to slowly move up that weight, and a 3 fight deal between Canelo and Riyadh season would make sense to give Crawford some time to acclimate to the weight and move up and make the fight more marketable, more attractive for the casual, right? Because a lot of people know Canelo. He's probably a lot more, way more famous than Terrence Crawford. Terrence
Mhm.
Crawford coming up from basically a 135 pounder, right? 140, 147, now at 154, going up to still got to jump another 2 divisions to fight this guy, spacing it out over 2, 3 fights, maybe 2 fights. You know what I'm saying? And maybe it ain't got to be 3. You know what I'm saying? Maybe 1 fight, move up 160 real quick. Let me see what you look like there at 160. So at least people can have an idea and be like, damn, this fight can actually be competitive. Because most people probably going to think that Canelo's going to wipe the floor with him because he's just too big. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, yo, it makes sense. Let let Canelo make his change. He in it for the we know what he in it for the pesos. Let him get his money. Have a few cherry picks, beat up on some fighters over there on Matchroom real quick. You know what I'm saying? And then fight a Callum Smith and one of them dudes again, like real quick. Just make a few quick check, and then the Crawford is the big prize at the end, and he'll probably be able to get the credit he deserves because if Crawford moves up to 160 and eventually 168, he handles his business before he gets to Canelo. Nobody gonna really be talking like he's too small anymore, especially if he goes up there and he puts somebody down. I wouldn't be mad at it, but at the end of the day, if they jump right to it, I'm with that. It's the biggest fight
At
in boxing.
36, 37 years old, I don't think that that that
Yeah, he's 37. He's
yes,
37. I forgot about that part. Yeah.
I don't think that he's looking for I really think that he's looking for that to be his swan dance fight. I don't
Right.
think that he's looking for anything else but that fight. And I think that that's why the Sheikh is pushing for it, because he knows that that's the fight that if you want to get Crawford, that's the fight you're gonna get him with. You know.
Now that makes sense. Hold on, before we move on, let me just remind the people real quick. Take a quick break. Let me just remind everybody to please jab that like button, uppercut that subscribe button, lead hook that share button, and throw a combination at the notification bell so you can stay updated when we drop new content here on the Parry. And follow us on Instagram at the Parry 101, Twitter at the Parry 101, TikTok at the Parry 101. Please follow us on all forms of social media. Show us some love. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the God Mental Son. I see you in the building. But yeah, go ahead, brother. What you were saying?
Well, I mean, we was just flowing with it with the 2025, what they expect, and the return of different fighters in the ring. We were actually talking about Canelo, who is the highest paid boxer right now. Last year he had the fights with Munguia. You know what I'm saying? Amy Munguia, which was
Jaime.
another 12
Jaime
round.
Khan. Oh, oh.
Another,
Hey.
which was a 12-round decision. But he also had though another fight though with Berlanga. You know the
Yeah, I guess Edgar Berlanga, uh, which was actually actually a pretty good fight. Like I thought Berlanga did well for himself. I mean, I guess if you can, what's the word? Like a moral victory, I guess. He survived. No, I thought he would get put, but it actually was a pretty good
he
fight.
survived the early knockdown, and it was a moral victory. It was the Puerto Rican pride against Mexico. Or I wouldn't say he was necessarily the pride of Puerto Rico, like as far as the people goes, but I'm just
Right.
saying that pride that the Puerto Ricans have that he carried into the ring. Um,
But according to De La Hoya, he ain't really Puerto Rican. That little beef back and forth they would have been hilarious.
yeah, De La Hoya with his clapback, with his clapbacks,
Hey
is
yo.
definitely be some funny shit. But what was I saying? But just talking about Canelo moving forward in the year. If he, but for Canelo, because Canelo got options. He doesn't have to fight. Spence. I mean, Crawford. Pardon me. He
Mm.
doesn't have to fight Crawford. But the problem is that the only other real option to me for a fight that the people want to see him in that makes sense is David Benavidez. And that would be the only fight to me outside of okay, Crawford, you're right. Crawford is not in your division. He hasn't done anything in your division to say I need to fight this guy and he's a threat. I get that. But Benavidez, this is a whole nother story right now. And you have the whole backdrop of the pride of Mexico. So you have the whole Mexican pride thing going. So I think that is the fight right there.
He's never gonna fight David Benavidez. But speaking of David Benavidez, uh, got a very interesting fight coming up in 2025. One that I'm really excited to watch. One of the few PBC cards what's going on PBC. That's a whole other conversation, man. PBC just ain't been holding it down like they should. But this David Benavidez versus David Morrell fight probably should have happened at 160, but now it's happening at 168. This is going to be a barn burner. This is going to be a really good fight. Cuba versus Mexico. Um, I like David Morrell. His last fight against what's his name? What's my man name? Kalajic, whatever his name was. He didn't look that impressive, but also uh, David Benavidez's first fight at 168 against Vazdik, he also didn't look that impressive. Vazdik is also a former champion. He's a tough tough opponent, man. He came in there in shape, and ready to go, man. But David Benavidez eventually pulled out the fight, and won, which I thought it was the right decision. But I thought he was having a little bit of trouble up at 168 with these bigger guys. But now he's fighting a guy that's moving up to the division like him. That's actually been, you let David Morrell tell it. He's been calling him out since 160, and David Benavidez has been ducking him. So now we get the opportunity to see these two young warlords, man, go in the ring, and this is going to be a good one, man. This is one of the better fights to start off the year, if not the best fight to start off the year, unless you want to talk about Beterbiev and Bivol rematch. That whole card is stacked, but after that fight, this fight is probably the biggest fight of the year. I like this fight better than the Tank Davis fight that's coming up. But David Benavidez, David Morrell is it's a hell of a fight. I ain't making no prediction right now, but what you think?
I think that right now Morrell has to do a lot. He has to do. David Benavidez does not know how to lose, and he has the confidence of a fighter who does not know how to lose. He hasn't learned how to lose yet, and that's something that in order to teach, in order for Morrell to teach Benavidez how to lose, he will have to really do a serious humbling of him in the ring, and the 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 hunger and the fact to prove that he is the number one Mexican in the world. He Benavidez carries that on his back. And I really feel like this is a good test for Benavidez. And I'm not writing Morrell out, but I would have to favor Benavidez going into the fight. The momentum is definitely with Benavidez. We know that he's expected favorite somewhat, but this is a very close fight, and I think that David Benavidez will be victorious. I think he'll right now he wants it. It's his time right now.
I'm anticipating this to be like fight of the year, like early on. This is like it's probably gonna be one of the best fights of this year.
Absolutely,
They're both. David Benavidez is going to try to walk him down and
absolutely.
land some hard shots. And David Morrell, him being a southpaw, if I'm not mistaken, uh, and he comes in there to bang pause. Um, man, I'm just really excited for this fight. I don't know who else is on the card, but um, I ain't making no predictions right now, other than the fact that this is going to be one of the best fights of the year. Like I almost guarantee that it's going to be one of the best fights of the year. But what's after this for either fighter? Hopefully, listen. All right, Canelo Crawford don't happen. David Benavidez for Canelo needs to happen. And so if you can't, they can't come to an agreement on that. Yo, Turkey man, I wish I had my man number. I'm gonna tell him break the bank for that fight because you're gonna get everything. You know what I'm saying? Return on your investment, man, because that's the biggest fight in boxing. That is the biggest fight in boxing. I don't think there's a bigger fight in boxing between any two fighters on any weight in any weight class. This is the biggest fight in boxing. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think Canelo really wants that smoke. But I think depending on how he look against somebody like David Morrell, let's say he doesn't look that impressive. Say his performance is similar to that of Vostik, but he wins. Maybe Canelo would entertain a fight with him. But if he goes in there and he steamrolls David Morrell, all that does is up the value of somebody like David Benavidez, where he's now going to demand more money. He has more notoriety, and he's the young lion and the young champion that it seems like you've been ducking. Canelo's not going to fight the kid. Canelo's not going to fight him, but that's the biggest fight in boxing. And I think that if you're going to pay Canelo the 150 million to fight anybody, you pay him to fight David Benavidez. It's the biggest fight in the sport.
Mm, mm, mm. It definitely is one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight in the sport. You know, there's a lot of big fights speaking of big fights, we have the Better BF and the Bevel 2 fight coming up.
Right.
That fight, we have that fight which will be taking place this year. Um,
I believe that fight's taking place on I want to say
22nd.
February
It's,
20th.
it's
Is it
February
22nd?
22nd. Yeah, it's
Okay.
February 22nd. It has one of the most stacked cards there is. Steven Shakur will be returning versus Floyd Schofield. Not really a heralded fighter, Schofield, but it should be a good test for Stevenson. And when I say a test for Stevenson, I expect I expect Stevenson to come out here and look spectacular. I expect him to look spectacular in every fight that is not someone named a Davis or a Haney. And I say that because his stock in 2024 did not rise at all. His whatever position he was jockeying for in 2023 going in 2024, I don't think he achieved it by the year's end.
I think
And
Shakur versus Floyd Schofield is a very uh interesting fight. Schofield is a tough kid, really really tough kid. He's coming to fight. I think if there's an opportunity for Shakur to show what he's made of, to show that he could sit in the pocket and bang with a fighter, uh, and not so much be on his I don't want to say be on his bicycle, man, because cats that really don't really appreciate the sweet science saying fighters like Shakur is running or fighters like
well, being
Floyd
on your
Mayweather is
bicycle and
running.
running isn't really the same thing, but Shakur is known to be on his bicycle. He is known to be a very defensive first, a very don't get hit, first type of fighter. So this makes for these defensive type fights with him on his bicycle. And you mentioned that Schofield could be a good test. You mentioned that this could be a good test for him to show what he got to sit in the pocket. And it could be, if he wants to. And really, I don't even think it could be a good test. I think it could be a good showcase of him showing that he can sit in the pocket and really bang up one of these guys like that. But I don't think the problem is I don't think that is usually going to be the case with him because he has a style and an ability to be able to win his fights in probably one of the most boring fashions we've seen in a long time. And because of that, I don't really think he's going to change. I don't see him going and training in a different method that's going to go out there and produce different type of fights for him. And it's unfortunate because it doesn't take away from his talent, but it takes away from the entertainment value that his fights have, especially for a casual fan. A diehard fan may look at him and appreciate what he's doing, but even in what he's doing, he has this ability to keep this distance, and unfortunately, he doesn't offer enough offense to make it entertaining. Can he continue to win fights like that? As long as he comes across judges who aren't going to penalize him for not forcing the action.
I think well he should beat Floyd Schofield. I think Floyd Schofield is a tough guy. I don't think he's a pushover. He's a tough kid. He's coming to fight. His father be talking enough cash ish. Like you know what I mean? Like his father ain't getting in the ring with him, man. But I do like the kid. Um Showcase could be. I think there's a definitely a talent gap between these two fighters. Like Shakur is clearly one of the like probably at the cream of the crop, not just of the division, but probably in all of boxing when it comes to skill set. But um, what's next after this fight is probably what's most important for somebody like Shakur Stevenson because you fight a Floyd Schofield on his better BVOL card, which is a stacked card from top to bottom. There's going to be a lot of exciting fights. You don't want your fight on this card to be something boring and not something people can remember and talk about on such a historic card. So his performance is important. and it sets up what's probably next for him. Because if he comes out against Floyd Schofield and he does what he did against I forgot homeboy's name that he was, the performance that pretty much everybody was downing him for. Um, he pulls another one of those performances again. Uh, it hurts his chances of getting some of the big fights that he actually deserves and that the fans want to see, because we want to see him. I don't think there's any fighter that we want to see him in the ring with more than somebody like Tank Davis. I want to see him fight Tank. I don't want to see him like other fighters are, cool, like Tiafimo, whatever. All the other names in and around that division, the Ryan Garcias, the Devin Haney's, those are great fights. But Shakur Stevenson really should be fighting somebody like Tank Davis. Like, he's that good, and Tank is that good, and they're two bright stars in the sport. Where again, skill set for skill set, they're two of the best. They're really the two of the best in all of boxing at what they do. So if Shakur comes out and puts on a dud against uh, Schofield like he did against Edwin De Los Santos, um, then it hurts
And
his it hurts his chances. It hurts his chances.
Hertanyan, the one that the Artem Hertanya, the fight he had in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Prudential Center in North. That's the fight you
yeah.
were talking
That's
about earlier.
well, I was talking about. I was really referencing the De Los Santos fight. I
Oh,
forgot
the De
about the
Los Santos
Artem.
fight.
Yeah, I was actually referencing that fight, but yeah, if he puts on another one of those performances, it hurts his chances to get a fight against Tank Davis. So he got to come out and perform, because I think that's what should be next. Now we know Tank is talking about retirement. This is what he's talking about now. After the Lamont Roach fight, he may possibly retire, or maybe possibly retire after one or two more fights. Who knows? But who's on that list? I know who I want to see him fight. I don't want to see him fight Ryan Garcia again. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him fight Shakur Stevenson. That's the fight. That's probably the second biggest fight in all of boxing. You know what I'm saying? Second or third, depending on if Canelo won the fight Benavidez or Crawford, right? It's probably the second or third biggest fight in all of boxing, Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. So his performance is important. His performance is important. And Tank Davis is about to get in there and mix it up with Lamont Roach.
hmm hmm Definitely, he's about to. But
Who's
hold
moving
on,
up.
before we get there though, you just
Mm-hmm.
jumping around and whatnot. But this is we talking about February. That's March 1st. We talking about February 22nd right now, bro. And February 22nd, it's a stacked card. We have the boy versus Parker, Joseph Parker for the boys for the W. I mean,
The
pardon me, for the
IBF.
IBF heavyweight title. You know what I'm saying? Like that's serious right there. Like these is players. We talking about the boy, you know, Dubois. Pardon me, Daniel Dubois. Co co fighter of the year.
Well, we doing a whole show on that card, man. Like, but Dubois versus Joseph Parker is probably one of the better fights in the heavyweight division that you can make right now. Both of them on a winning streak. Uh, Joseph Parker really having two impressive victories. One against Deontay Wilder, outboxing him, and then he outboxed Zheli Zhang, which I picked Zheli Zhang to win that fight. I picked both Wilder and Zhang to beat Joseph Parker. I wasn't too high on Joseph Parker, but I will say his game plan against both fighters that he executed almost to perfection, especially with Deontay Wilder. Daniel Dubois, after coming off a win against Philip Herkovich and then knocking out Anthony Joshua, he's also on a nice little run streak. You know what I'm saying? On a nice little winning streak right now. And I also look at him now as somebody who's got progressively better, right, over his last few fights. Since the Usyk fight, he's been putting on. He's been a lot more aggressive. You can tell that he's pressing the action. He seems to have now found himself as a fighter in his young stage of his career. Now he's the IBF champion, no longer the interim. He's the actual champion, the IBF champion. And now Joseph Parker and him about to get it on February 22nd. That's a great fight. But again, it's one of the fights is as to what's after this one, regardless of who wins, because they're both uh, good heavyweights, I'm gonna say.
Right,
But
right.
what's next after this fight? This fight potentially lines him up for a fight against Usyk. for a unification
Indeed.
undisputed bout.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
that's a huge fight with a lot on the line. I like Dubois, but I also like Joseph Parker. I'm not gonna give no predictions on when it comes to that because again, I want to save it for when we do our show on the card. But that's definitely probably the highlight. Other than Bivol Beterbiev, that's probably the most important fight on that card because that whole card, top to bottom, though, is stacked. It's
Now
absolutely
the whole card
insane.
is stacked top to bottom, but the Dubois Joseph Parker, that's definitely a good fight on the card. I definitely I see Parker having his moment, but this is we'll discuss that coming up as we get into that fight card in a couple of weeks. But also on that fight card, just to highlight, we're talking heavyweights. We do have the Zhang Cabell fight. Cabell will be fighting on that card as well for the WBC interim championship, which is just, we have an undisputed heavyweight champion. And this is the problem with not the heavyweight division I'm talking about. This is the problem with boxing and these championships. Or like it's like
Auto correction. We don't have an undisputed champion. We got a unified champion.
we have a
Not an
unified
undisputed.
champion.
Yeah,
Okay, we don't have an undisputed.
unified heavyweight. He was undisputed, but he gave up the IBF, and that's how
Oh yeah,
Parker got the
I can't go with all of that. You know what I mean? I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, but if he was the undisputed, he didn't lose that because of one of these. And this is the problem that we have in boxing. Okay, so I get what you're saying. He doesn't technically have the titles to be considered he's the champion. He's the actual man to beat. He didn't lose any of those titles in the ring, and everybody recognizes him as. And this is the problem I have with boxing. We need to know who the champions are. You have all of these interim, recess, access, excess, whatever it is, champions. We don't need none of it at the end of the day. We need a champion. Then we know who's the champ, and then we know who's the contenders. And that's all we really need to know. Who's the champ and who's the contenders. And this is how you have fighters getting to a place where they have some trinket now. Now they have some wear. They have a little bit of wear now. And this other fighter has some wear, but they find a way not to fight each other. Whereas if there's only one goal, and in order to be the man, you want to be the man to wear that gold, then everybody ends up fighting each other. This is how everybody ends up fighting each other because there's only one top spot, not 3, 4, 5. We are now, they call the four belt era. This is the four, it's just disrespectful. It makes no sense.
I'm okay with the belts. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and I can't disagree with your point because again, technically there should only be one champion. However, there's so many fighters, right? There's so many fighters in the sport of boxing, and if there's only one champion,
You're
making
an excuse now, though.
I'm not making an excuse.
No, go ahead. No, finish your point.
I'm giving another perspective. If there's only one fighter can only fight one person at a time, right? At least if there's this person got, let's say, WBC, this person got the WBO, and they're both considered champions. Who's the real champion? I just feel like what messes it up is when you have two champions in the same division, who one is ducking the other or they ducking each other. Period. Like I feel like when you I feel like it should be mandatory for two champions to fight. Like I feel like they should make unification
the problem
mandatory.
Is because they're champions, it's the actual reverse. It makes it easy for them to not fight each other because now you're representing opposing sanctioning bodies. So although you feel like it should be mandatory for the champions to fight each other, it actually makes it easier for the champions not to fight each other just because they're champions, which is one of the problems that I've said. This is a problem. Now, what you just said, it really goes against what we need, because we actually need one person, right, to be challenged constantly and have to accept constant challenges to the point where now he can't say, you know what, I'm the champ and I'm going to only fight twice a year. Now I actually have to fight 4 times a year in order to represent this championship title. In order to represent this belt, once every quarter, I now have to have a fight, or at least 3 times a year. You understand what I'm saying? And that guarantees that you're going to be fighting the best fighters out there who are presented, because it's going to, you're not going to have an option. And this is what we need. We need a system that is of that type of caliber. We don't need an interim champion, a recess champion, a unified champion, and a super champion, all of the same, all are WBA. All of these are down. You know, you have four. You have the WBA regular. You have the WBA super. Then you have the interim or whatever. Like this is madness. Not only to mention that now we have also the WBC, who has their own interim and their own version of the champion and recess and all of that. Then you have the IBF, who has their own interim and all of that. Not to mention, which used to not even be regarded, but now they let them come and dance at the party, the WBO. So, you know, it's it's a little problematic for the pragmatic, to say the least.
to, say, to say the least, man. Listen, man.
To say the least.
Alexander, I'm the best ever.
That's basically how you came off right there. You know what I'm saying? Like you was in your Mike Tyson post fight mode right there, man.
But to say the least, though, you know.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel about that. But yes, we were talking the future. Pardon me, Dan, I didn't even mean to take my camera off. But we were talking the future. We were talking the 2025. You know, we were getting into March 1st now. You know, we was at February 22nd. March 1st, we have another, well, at least we have a good fight to anticipate. We have the return of Tank, who we were just talking about, who said he may retire after this year or may retire after this fight. He even said that he wasn't going to have this fight at one point. But we have the return of Tank Davis against Lamont Roach. Now, Lamont Roach is adorable, like a roach. You know what I'm saying? He's adorable. Lamont Roach, I don't want to build one of these guys up like one of these guys actually have a chance against Tank Davis. And I understand, like, even with the Frank Martin debacle, a lot of people was really thinking it was, you know, it was a little hype. This guy might be the one. And even the way the way Tank starts off his fights, he's not a seek and destroy type of fighter. He's an intel, he's a recon, and then he, you know, goes in there and does what needs to be done, you know, makes the adjustments, you know. So with that being said, this is pretty much gonna be like, here's the thing about Tank. Tank can actually make a guy who is a little above mediocre look decent for a couple of rounds. Just by the fact that I want you to throw your jab. I want you to feel comfortable trying to reach me with that right. I want you to, and the people, especially the casual and the people who are below casual, they just tune in for the super big fights. They don't realize what's going on. Why Tank ain't doing that? This guy, he throwing all this. He trying to get his. They don't really see what's really going on. They don't see how this guy is being read like a green screen in the Matrix. You understand what I'm saying? And it's gonna be the same thing.
So hold up. So are you calling Lamont Roach just above mediocre? Is what we doing? I'm just curious.
No. I was making the point that a fighter above mediocre, could look decent. I didn't even say good. I said decent. Could look decent for a couple of rounds against Tank, especially to, like I said, that casual and the beyond the casual.
Nah, I can dig it. I can dig it. Well, Lamont Roach, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's moving up from 130. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's moving up from 130 to fight Tank.
It's not a good look.
I'm not a big fan of this fight, but I get it. I mean, they both from the same, DC, Baltimore area. I think they known each other or they came up together kind of like around, in the amateurs. Like they know each other. They from the same area. So I'm not a big fan of this fight, but Tank can pretty much do what he want to do at this stage of his career. No disrespect to Lamont Roach. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't think he stand a chance. He don't stand an Ice Cube chance in hell, man, against Tank Davis, especially moving up to fight this man who's putting out he's putting out everybody, man. I ain't gonna lie, I almost don't even want to buy this fight.
I'm
I
gonna
don't. I'm
say
not.
Tank in
This
five,
this fight
possibly
really don't
four.
interest me.
Tank in
This fight
five,
really
possibly four.
this fight really don't interest me. I feel like Tank by homicide, to be honest. Like, you know what I'm saying? Tank by unaliving, yo. Like he's not he's but this fight doesn't really interest me. There's no hype. I don't feel like some people just want to watch Tank because it's Tank and they feel like, well, Tank is gonna knock this person out and I want to see him knock somebody out. I want to see Tank fight somebody that's really good. I want to see him finally get in the ring with a Shakur or a Teofimo Lopez or a Devin Haney or you know what I mean, even a Keyshawn Davis.
Yeah,
Like let me see you fight somebody that I don't know who's going to win. I hate going into the Tank Davis's fights knowing this guy's going to win. Like against Shakur, we don't know. Against a Teofimo, we don't know, right? We Ryan Garcia, we seen that already. I don't need to see that again. Against Devin Haney, I mean, I will pick Tank to win, but we don't know. But against a Lamont Roach, no disrespect to Lamont Roach, I'm not interested. I'm just not, and I'm not, and I don't want to buy the card just because it's Tank Davis. I don't want to purchase the card and be like I'm watching this. I want to see Tank fight. I like Tank. I'm a fan of Tank Davis. But I think at this stage now, especially since you're talking about retiring, give me an actual fight. Give me a fight that I don't know. I don't know who's gonna win. Don't give me these. Don't keep giving me these fights where I know like okay, Tank is gonna win. I thought Frank Martin had a chance, but I didn't think he was gonna win that fight. I knew he was gonna get knocked out, but
yes. Now here's the thing, not to cut your wisdom, my brother,
mm,
either. But I just wanted to kind of interject when you mentioned about Tank Davis and him fighting Lamont Roach. Because it is hard to get excited to see Tank Davis fight a Lamont Roach. Like Lamont Roach, who is, I mean, I mean, it's this is what I was gonna say. Because Lamont Roach isn't even ranked in the top 10 you know in his division. Like he's not even like we're really honestly, let's all jokes aside, we're actually talking about a journeyman basically. You know what I mean? And this is one of those fights where Tank Davis has found himself in that Mike Tyson space, where he's doing these big pay-per-view fights and they're just finding any type of dance partner to throw in there with him, and because he's the draw and people want to see a sensational ending. And I mean, you have to pretty much expect Davis to knock out a Lamont Roach. And if he doesn't, it's not going to look good for the brand, to be honest with you. And at 30-0 with, what does this guy have? 28 knockouts or something like that, 27 knockouts,
who we talking about? Tank?
yeah,
Yeah, he's 30-0. He's 30-0.
yeah, yeah,
30-0
but that,
with 28 knockouts, man.
yeah, with 28 knockouts, he has his knockout ratio was crazy. You have to expect not Frank Martin, of course, I'm thinking of, but you have to expect Lamont Roach to most likely be another victim on that card, and it's sad because in that division, in the lightweight division, right, right now, who I don't know what Vasily Lomachenko is doing You know, I know in a lot of rankings, he's still number two over Shakur, who is number three in most rankings
Mm.
at at lightweight. But I don't understand, how Lomachenko is still number three. That's another story. However, though, when you look at the top five fighters that most people in lightweight are looking at, you're looking at Davis, you're looking at Zapata, you know, in, in the bottom half, maybe. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, what fights are out there for Davis right now outside of a Stevenson fight, outside of him fighting a Lomachenko right now, or moving up to go after a Haney or well, Matias? I believe he just actually took a loss, Subriel Matias, but a Teofimo Lopez. Like, it's really not many options for Davis.
Well, he's not moving up to 140 to fight anybody that's going to be dangerous because then he won't have the advantage. He's going to stay at 135 or make them guys either come down to 135 or make somebody from 130 move up, like he's doing with Lamont Roach. Um, I don't want to see. I don't. I don't care. Give me Shakur. Just give me that fight. Give me Shakur or Keyshawn. That's it. The other fights, the other guys at 140. Cool. You at 135. So with Shakur.
Yeah,
Give me that
yeah.
fight, bro. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
care about, like, I'm tired of these fights where Tank Davis is fighting Frank Martin. No disrespect to Frank Martin. I like Frank Martin. But we all knew. I want to see you fight somebody where it's like, damn, what if this guy does this? Can he deal with Shakur? Like, come on. Like, I'm getting tired of these fights, and I'm gonna be honest. I know, we a boxing channel, and we do our occasional fight parties, and we're gonna be able to do some, you know, in the near future. I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying this fight, man. I'm being honest with you. I don't know if I'm purchasing this fight. I like Tank Davis, but I don't want to see the inevitable. Like, I already know what's gonna happen, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about this fight. Like this, it's funny because I didn't even know I felt this way till we actually started talking about it again, right? Like I'm saying, like, you know what? I really don't care about this fight. I don't care about it. I don't want to see it. I'm not pressed to see it. I'm gonna say it like that. Will I watch it if, like, I don't want to, illegally stream, right? We don't do that, right? Of course we don't. Um, so, but I definitely don't want to pay for that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I could watch the replay on YouTube or something. I'm not paying for that, bro. I can't. I don't. If somebody having a fight party or something, and I could go over there and sit down and have a have a brew and watch the fight. Yeah, I'd probably be down for that. Am I gonna sit here, spend my hard-earned money to watch Tank Davis knock out Lamont Roach? Hell to the nah, bro. I don't think so, bro. I think I'm staying away from that one, man. See, and this is exactly my point with PBC and what they doing with today fighters. And actually, I can't even blame PBC for this. This is Tank. Like, he doing it to us over and over again, man. No, this is like, again, Tank. If you watching this, bro, like, please don't get at me on Twitter and start, be inviting me to the hot dog stand and all types of craziness you be doing, because I'm voicing my opinion, dog. All right, because we know how these young dudes do. They can't accept the criticism, and the first thing they want to do is start calling you an N-word and inviting you to the hot dog stand. That's craziness. We just giving our opinion, and my opinion is, fam, I'm tired of seeing you fight these guys. Fight Shakur Stevenson. Fight some Keyshawn Davis. Give me somebody that I don't know who's going to win. Of course, you're going to go into the fight having the utmost confidence, knowing that you're going to win. But as a fan, as a party who's going to be paying for these pay-per-views, I'm not paying. I'm not watching you. I'm not paying to watch you knock out Lamont Roach. I'm just not doing it. I'm tired of these fights, man. Get the fans what they want. And you talking about retirement. Next fight, you fight Shakur, I'll pay double. You know what I'm saying? To watch that fight. Rather than pay whatever it is they're going to be charging me to watch you knock out Lamont Roach. And this is no disrespect to Lamont Roach, but fam, We know what's gonna happen. I think you know what's gonna happen. Like, let's keep it real.
Indeed, indeed. And speaking of Keyshawn Davis, he will be returning on ESPN on February 14th against Dennis Berenchik. Berenchik. These guys, see, man. Once
Nah, Baron Chick
that,
is that's a good fight though.
yeah,
Yeah,
nah, it's definitely a good fight for the WBO lightweight title. So Keyshawn fighting for a title. So this is definitely a fight. We also have Barboza Jr. fighting Jack Catterall. I mean, pardon
Jack
me,
Catterall. Yeah, that's a
Jack
good one.
Catterall. That should be a decent fight. Derek damn,
Chisora.
pardon me, Chisora, who's always been a character. I remember him spitting water in the face of Klitschko brothers, slap Vladimir, or slap Vitaly and spit water in the face of Vladimir. He just was always a character, only to lose. Always going out there with these crazy antics, or only to lose. He fights Otto Wallen at
Otto
heavyweight.
Valine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Walloon,
that's a
pretty much of a, to me, that's a non-significant heavyweight.
Walloon.
But and February 2nd, it seems like I'm going backwards a little bit, but February 2nd we have Clarissa Shields, the GWOAT, who will be fighting Danielle Perkins for her WBC, WBA female heavyweight titles. So we will be seeing her soon. This is less than a month, about 3 weeks coming up. So we would definitely be discussing that more on this program. And that's pretty much it as far as all anything significant that's coming up.
Well, did we are we forgetting anything? Anybody else we gotta discuss? Oh, Deontay Wilder.
Deontay Wilder is returning 2025. This is, to me, is kind of sad case, man. I mean, Deontay Wilder, bruh. Whoever is in your corner, whoever's behind you, whoever's your handlers, they really have no regard or concern about your physical being at all, whatsoever. And it's a shame when a situation like this happens and you end up with a bunch of people around you who, you know, they know the music ain't playing no more, but they still trying to catch a last dance or two, and off your expense right now. This is just anybody involved. This is just the money grab to try to get one last check off of your name at the expense of your good senses, your health, your wits. Brother, I don't know, you already have shown signs of ring deterioration. I don't know, any type of, because you've taken some serious damage in the ring, and it is already shown in the shelf life of your boxing career. You're shot, brother, at this point.
Hmm.
And to continue to fight I can't tell you you can't fight, brother, but to continue to fight in this condition is only going to continue to sacrifice your health in the long run in boxing. And we've seen this time after time after time. Fighters who leave the ring 2, 3, 4, 5 years later seem that we don't see the effects. Then all of a sudden they sound like they goggling or something. You understand? We've seen this time after time after time, the delayed effect. And for you to continue is only basically guaranteeing that you will suffer. We know about Ken Norton. We see Orlin Norris, Terry Norris, Meldrick Taylor. Let these be examples.
Oh, you froze.
Shame on Malik Scott and everybody who you fooling around in your corner anyway. But shame on Malik Scott and all of these people that you got around you, brother, because right now you are really running the risk of some serious danger, to the point where, at 50 years old, you may not be able to get up and turn the lights off for yourself at night, brother. And we don't want to see that. This is not a joke or a laughing matter. And I just wanted to express that because Deontay Wilder, you a brother. You're my brother. And I love you like a brother. So don't fight. Don't fight. Unfortunately, you're looking for a big fight. You're gonna get this fight. And it's probably gonna look like your last fight, which looked like the fight before that, which looked like the fight before that, which all ended with you on your back, knocked out, taking a 10-second nap. We don't need this. I'm done.
I had to.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm off. I know I went on for a while, but I'm passionate about this.
Oh man, I'm gonna say it's always another fight with somebody. Brother Deontay Wilder. Anybody been watching this channel for a while knows I'm a very big Deontay Wilder fan. Always going to be. But hold on. Let me take the floor for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to agree with my brother, the pragmatic, on this one. I'm Bomb Squad for life. Always going to be a supporter of you in and outside of the ring. But I think you reached the heights that a lot of people didn't think you would reach, being a heavyweight champion, a dominant heavyweight champion at that. One of the hardest hitting heavyweight champions ever. You got a highlight reel of knockouts that can rival anybody's. But I think it's time, brother, to walk away before there'll be a highlight reel of you eating the canvas or just getting badly hurt at this stage in your career. Now, again, there's always a fight out there for somebody. Could you go out there and knock out names, no-name guys, bunch of cab drivers and make a check? Absolutely, but what would be the point of that? Because you're in pursuit of greatness, and I think that's has been your goal throughout your reign as heavyweight champion, trying to push for the biggest fights and become one of the greats. I think I don't know if you're ever gonna reach that level again to where you can chase greatness. I think it's time for you to retire. But I will say I will continue to watch because I am a fan. So it's kind of heartbreaking at the same time if I see you catch more punishment or get knocked out again. As a huge Deontay Wilder fan, it's bad. I don't want to see that. But I just like to watch you fight, and I'm always going to support you. So, you the man. You're gonna do what you want to do. But like my brother, the pragmatic said, I think you need to retire, bro. I think it's time to hang it up. But with that said, I think we coming to the end of the show. You're pragmatic. Where you at, brother?
Right here. It's definitely about that time, and I agree. We here at the Parry love Deontay Wilder. My brother here is huge Deontay Wilder fan, but as his contributions to the sport, we love him for that alone. You know what I'm saying? So with that said, like he said, the brother needs to retire. And that pretty much wraps up this episode of the Parry, where we don't duck or pull no punches.
And the parry is fundamental to boxing. Let me just remind everybody to please jab that like button, uppercut that subscribe button, lead hook that share button, and throw a combination at the notification bell so you can stay updated when we drop new content.
Absolutely.
And I am your host, Bomani UFG.
And I am the pragmatic Che Black.
And you know what it is. This is the Parry. Until next time, we out of here. Peace.
Actually, now we're going to show you how to catch the jab. Actually, in boxing, it's called parrying.